Accuracy to the design, by way of sizes of rooms, is critical for the project to develop. Reah returned to the plan and drew up a number of adjacency diagrams that started to connect the three separate blocks into one. She started with a plan diagram, with a simple servant-served relationship. By undertaking this exercise, Reah was able to not only develop a plan diagram, she also managed to improve the design in terms of the architectural experience. She decided to place the teaching rooms as single-storey spaces on the east side, where the views were less interesting, looking out towards the industrial zone of the river. To the west, she then decided to place all the public spaces facing the countryside, where the river becomes luscious and idyllic. She also made a number of these spaces double height to increase the architectural drama.
In language.
Yeah.
So perhaps, you know, does the building become very framed, like these staiths? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of have moving skin. I mean, I think we can really see where this is going now.
Reah referred back to some of her initial sketches of the piers and coal staiths on the Tyne for inspiration. She particularly liked the tectonic qualities of these structures. They also provided direction in terms of skin treatment. Reah's project is, however, principally interested in preserving freshwater habitats and species. The bore of the river, from the North Sea, drives salt water up the Tyne to Newburn, so both freshwater and marine species exist in the river.
I quite like the idea of having these two very solid elements either side of the river, which I sort of house your more public programme, and then having all the sort of private sort of labs and science areas that deal with the river, but as a member of the public being able to sort of bypass that, to be able to sort of walk from one side to the other.
Reah recognised that the accommodation needed to be expanded. To avoid the dynamic block suspended over the water becoming too large, she decided to have a static element on either side of the river to house the community functions. These monolithic blocks helped in the conceptualisation of the project by contrasting the lightweight moving parts. Reah organised the plan diagram and started to populate the volume of the building with appropriately sized accommodation. She also returned to her site analysis and the Vasari model to see how the orientation of the building in relation to the position of the sun would affect the modelling of the facade. Vasari was invaluable to her as she could test how solar gain affected her building. Reah preferred to build physical models initially to test ideas, before moving the project into the computer and increasing the level of accuracy. Reah's design developed from a static structure to a dynamic one after she visited the world-famous transporter bridge on the River Tees. This is another important watercourse that supported industrial activity within the region. Reah became interested in the monumental forms that existed on the Tyne, particularly the enormous ships built at the Wallsend shipyards. She was inspired by these constructions that were static when being built and then dynamic when launched. To ensure that the building was not flooded in the event of the river swelling, the whole structure was placed on hydraulics connected to the concrete abutments. If the river level was elevated after heavy rain, the entire building could be raised. Reah took stock of her project and recognised that her scheme was a combination of several concepts. The primary concepts were derived from the inhabited medieval Old Tyne Bridge, combined with the dynamic transporter bridge. There were also construction and materiality concepts that were derived from other aspects of the site. Reah did a sketch of a sectional slice through the college facility to help understand the constituent parts of the scheme. The hand drawing is a very quick way of testing ideas, and demonstrates how even at a late stage in the project, sketching is still an invaluable method for the architect. The drawing shows 3 stages. The lower stage shows a new element to the scheme, a detachable research vessel. This capsule can move up and down the river to test the water quality and take samples back to the labs. The middle stage shows the college, and the upper stage shows the supporting structure. There was a far better spatial quality demonstrated in this version as a result of Reah having worked between the computer model and the section.